Hi, I'm Alan in this video. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to more Geometry Dash. Today, I want to talk a little bit about some advanced strategies on how to get good. It is the yearly AeonAir talks about how to get good at Geometry Dash despite not being the best player in the world, and we are going to be talking about some of the ways to get much better. I've spent a ton of time in the past talking about how you can improve, how you can get into demon range, how you can start improving. Today, I want to talk about how you can consistently be a really good player. Because one thing I've noticed a lot over the years now, especially, is that when you get into the range of Insane Demon and Extreme Demon, a lot of people beat like a couple of them, and then they feel like they plateau. They feel like they do not improve anymore. They feel like they cannot get better at the game. And I want to explore my philosophy on how you can elevate from that point. Right now, a lot of people are stuck in the I've beaten Acu, I've beaten Cataclysm, maybe a couple slightly harder Extreme Demons like Prismatic Haze, maybe even Bloodbath, but they can't seem to pull out of that range and grow ever so higher. So that's what I want to do today from the perspective of someone who has beaten a lot of demons. As you can see, I have 3,049 demons, 200 and another level got demoted. I had 208 yesterday. What do you mean? What got demoted? Anyway, that's besides the point. My credentials are right there. So first and foremost, I want to take you guys through how I practice. Before we get into the how to practice thing though, you guys should subscribe. As I said, at 200,000, the AeonAir plushie is launching. It is completely done. I'm just kind of waiting to hit the milestone so you guys have something to look forward to. 200,000, AeonAir plushie. It's coming out. Plus a merch drop altogether. Bunch of merch coming. I've not done like a proper merch drop before, so it's very hype. Can we hit 200,000 subs? I would appreciate it. Anyway, the way that I prefer practicing, and most pro players prefer practicing, is obviously start precision copies. When it comes to start precision copies, the best thing I've found is to just have a lot more start positions than you think, because one thing that I've noticed is that you create your own choke points a lot of the time. With a level like Xerix, that's not really the case because the level itself is incredibly difficult regardless. I've noticed that a lot of people end up finding and creating their own choke points because the most natural place to put a start position in this part, because it's a goddamn mess, it's right here at 65%. But the problem with that is there's a 15% of nothing before the next start position would be here. So by adding this start position right here, I kind of avoid the problem of this stray fly specifically becoming too hard. Because when you do start positions, I find it a lot that if a part that is far into a start position is going to be somewhere that I die a lot because I just fail. That's why I put a start position here in the UFO, because I kept dying to the UFO when I was playing in runs. And I was like, why am I continuously dying to the UFO? That's because I had a start position here for the ship, and then I practiced the ship a lot, but I didn't have enough practice with the UFO because I just didn't get there enough from the ship. So I just put another start position there. This sounds very obvious, like duh, Aeon, of course. But here comes the bigger brain strat, and one thing that I think is highly overlooked when it comes to practice. I struggle with this part. This part right here, the spam thingy, absolutely impossible. I have a start position here to practice this part specifically because it is impossible. However, I can do it pretty consistently. I do it a few times in a row, right? One way that I can practice this and get much better at this part is to not play from here, but rather I play from here. Because when I can't get to it every single attempt, I will naturally gain more skill with that part because I actually have to consistently be able to practice it and pass it every time I get to it. If I can just practice it all the time, I'll just like pass it, like say 5 times in a row, but that could have been a fluke. If I play from here, and if I can still pass this section 5 times in a row when I don't reach it every single attempt, that shows that my skill with this part has gained significantly. I do this quite a lot with a lot of parts. I practice a lot from this start position right here to practice this memory part, because this memory part is absolutely impossible. I've died to it 20 times, I think, from 0. I practice a lot from 23 just to like get a good feel for the memory part of 35 in runs. I think practicing from a part before it is really important. I think it is a highly underrated way of practice, right? It gets you more confidence, it gets you more consistency, and you get a better feel of how the part feels to play in longer runs. I think practicing levels over longer runs is highly underrated, personally. Consistency is a thing that a lot of people struggle with, and I think consistency is something that is very important. One thing that I personally think is smart for consistency is just beating a lot of levels. I know that sounds very obvious, but take medium demons for instance. If you're in insane demon territory, beating a bunch of medium demons is gonna help you gain consistency. You're gonna be able to continuously grow your skill and consistency by playing easier levels. Consistency isn't only a matter of being able to consistently do really hard stuff over and over again. It's also partially being able to beat levels quickly, regardless of the difficulty. If you can do a straight fly because you've played the straight fly 50 times over, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can easily do a straight fly that is easier. So by beating a ton of easier levels, I find personally that you will just overall gain much more skill as a result. I noticed this was not an approach that I had before. I learned it last year when I did my January grind, when I did 1,000 demons in 1 month. I fluked all of the extreme demons I played that month. I beat 3 extremes that month. I fluked all of them because I just played so many levels that I was so used to being late in levels, and I'd beaten so many levels that I was just really consistent overall that month. So I fluked all 3 of my extremes. I fluked most of the insane demons I played that month as well, which just goes to show that if you beat a lot of levels, you're just going to be used to beating a lot of levels, and you're going to improve as a result of that, right? Now, one thing I do in this kind of grind where I like try and get as good as possible, one thing you can do is sight read. I'm just really bad at sight read. So if you want to beat a lot of levels fast, but you still want that sense of improvement, what I personally like to do is to try and avoid learning levels completely. I know that sounds very counterintuitive. It sounds very counterintuitive, and it kind of is, right? Like, you want to learn the level so you can beat it fast, right? But if you just do like a very fast practice run of a level and you don't really learn the full level completely, you can like halfway sight read it, which I think helps a lot with just getting confident enough with your ability to play. I think a very underrated skill in general in GD is your confidence when you do stuff. Like, if you are learning a level and you're playing a level, the ability to just stay calm and playing on instinct almost is a really good skill to have. I think nerve control often comes down to people not being used to having to react on the spot. Like, people ask me how I have such good nerve control, and I think a lot of it just comes down to the fact that I never really practice the easier levels all too much. I go through once in practice mode just to so I have like a general idea, and then I sight read that, and keeping that cool while not making mistakes helps tremendously with nerve control, I find. So a lot of the time I'll be like, what the hell do I do here? And then I'll just like kind of figure it out, and then I'll just respond to it on the spot when doing it in normal mode. Does that make sense? Am I making any sort of sense now? But yeah, not having like a full understanding of the level, I will have to like react to stuff. And when I react to stuff, I get kind of like thrown off my game. And then when I get thrown off my game, I'll have to like stay calm to try and like recorrect myself and get back into the flow of the level. And I do think that that kind of like almost forced nerve control is a good way to get better. Like, you're basically forcing yourself to get nervous on easier levels to get used to nerve control. And it's something that I never see anyone ever talk about when it comes to like getting better at GD. And I don't really know why, because everyone seems to always complain about nerve control being like the hardest thing ever, when in reality, it's a state that you can force yourself into by halfway knowing how a level plays, and then forgetting how the level plays, and then having to respond accordingly when you're in normal mode. And it's such an easy state to emulate when you are playing easier levels that you can easily beat, that you don't really need a lot of practice with. Ah, damn it! I didn't react to the yellow portal. But that was a very good example of it, though. I forgot what I had to do, and for like 30% of the level there, I just had to like sight read it on the spot because I just kind of forgot what I had to do. I just had to trust my instincts when it came to sight reading, and I had to trust my own ability to be able to react accordingly to the gameplay that I'd forgotten how to play. There we go. Very nice. Very good level. Very fun. Very fun. But yeah, I think it's such an underrated and underappreciated skill. I get asked so much how I just don't really feel nervous a lot of the time. I said in my cognition completion. Did I say it in my cognition completion? I don't remember. But the first time I really got nervous on cognition was when I reached the 80 duel the first time. Not because of the fact that I thought the level was easy or anything. I'm just so accustomed to the idea that I only really have to get nervous when I know that there's a possibility that I can beat the level. And I force this sensation, I force this state by half learning levels. I halfway learn medium demons, insane demons, hard demons, and I just play by instinct and try my best to stay as calm as possible when I know the gameplay, and then when I feel like I can play the level but I don't really know how to play it, I will force a state of being nervous so that I can play better when nervous, right? And when I play harder levels, such as extremes, I don't need this. I don't need to do that. I can just practice a ton and I'll end up fluking the levels or not really get that bad luck from zero. I do with the really hard stuff, but that's because they're really hard and not necessarily because of the fact that I can't do it, right? Like, I haven't really gotten nervous with Serix yet, although I only have 52%. I haven't really felt nerves with the level yet, and I've still reached the halfway point. Like, even when getting new bests, I don't feel nervous because I'm like, okay, I can't really beat the level right now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I just want more progress, right? Now, the next thing, and then like a semi-announcement, when you beat a new hardest or a hard level, after I beat Serix, the worst thing I can do is immediately go down and be like, oh, I'm going to beat Sunburn now, which is an easy extreme. I think a lot of people just lose steam. You beat an extreme, and then you go back to playing medium and hard demons, and then when you want to play another extreme, you start playing another extreme, but you haven't really maintained that skill that you gain from the extreme demon. What I'm going to do after Serix is immediately go on to another really hard level, that being Scream Machine. As soon as I'm finished with Serix, I'm going to go over to Scream Machine. It is number 75 or something on the demon list. It's very difficult because I know that after I beat Serix, I need to maintain that level of skill, and I'm just going to keep beating hard levels. What I've usually done when it comes to hardest is that I'll beat a hardest that is like pretty significant in difficulty, and then I'll go and fill in the gaps between my last hardest and my new hardest. That's not possible now, but I'm just going to continuously play really hard levels to just keep that flow going. GD is a very much a maintain game. You have to maintain a lot of skill in GD to keep on top. Does that make sense? Anyway, those were my tips for today. How to practice levels, how I go about practice levels, length of runs, very important. I was watching Viper Venom play Sonic Wave Infinity today, and she was practicing the second wave by playing from the very end of the first wave, just like get into the second wave a lot, right? I think this is a very common practice trait for very good players, and I think it's something that more people should adapt. Consistency, beat a ton of levels, and when beating that ton of levels, try not to learn them completely to force a state of nerves so that you get better at nerve control. And then, of course, at the very end, play within the range that you are at the top of at a very consistent basis. Do not wait long periods of time between each hard thing that you play, because you're going to lose that skill, that peak skill that you've been playing with for a while. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys around. Eat your yourself hydrated. Thank you for making my day better. Hope my day was a little bit better too. Remember, 200,000 Aeon plush. It's dropping. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be sick. And, of course, grab yourself some G Fuel. Link in the description. Use my code AeonAir at checkout and use my affiliate link to support my channel. I would truly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys later. Take care, everyone. Peace out. Love you all.